This is Pusha Wheats Catan. If you know, you know. Coming at you with Game 5 of the Name the Kid Challenge. If you're just joining us for this video series, the rules for this challenge is that we're playing 1v1 Catan. We need to get a 75% win rate in the 10 placement matches on colonist.io. And then, if I achieve that, I get to name my friend's firstborn kid a random name generated by Catan. My account is Gurias1683. That's what we're playing for. And last game, we got up to that 75% win rate. We were cruising. We had one early loss, but now we have just been posting wins over and over. So let's check out the Game 5 board here. Looking to continue my streak. And I am placing second on this board. So just looking at this right away, disappointed because there is a 5, 6, 9 in the bottom corner with all 3 different resources. That is a super overpowered spot. My opponent ends up placing there. No surprises, but the question becomes, what am I going to do to counter? On paper, I love this 5, 8, 10 in the top right. Really strong ore would put me ahead with city building and have sheep paired with it. But then what do I pair that with? I need to have road building materials and obviously wheat to be able to buy dev cards. So the spot that looks good in addition to that is the 8, 5, 10 in the bottom left that has the strong wheat. It has strong brick and it's doubling up on the sheep, but I do not want to be limited to just 3 numbers on this board. It is way too risky that those don't roll. And I need to find a way to pair that with a 6 and a 9 to be able to have the full spectrum of the most commonly rolled numbers. So really tough decision here. In the end, I end up placing on the 6, 9, 4 and the 8, 5, 10. The reason for that is now I do have a complete spectrum of the 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. All of that looks good. The only thing that's missing here is wood. I am completely without that resource, and you know there's no trading in 1v1, so I'm going to have to somehow 4 for 1 and be able to get myself to that 10-9. Once I get there, I should be able to build roads and continue onwards, so it's really going to be a matter of how quick I can get that done. And unfortunately, I am leaving that premium spot open, the 5, 8, 10. So now my opponent has all 5 resources. They have 2 ore in hand, so they're on their way to a city, and they get another ore there to start. And they are on that 5, 6, 9, so they have absolute maximum production and an early city. So this is really going to be an uphill battle. What I'm thinking is that the best thing I can do is settle on that 9 wood right away as fast as I can. And I'm going to have to do that by doing a 4 for 1. I don't love the idea of doing that with my ore to start because my opponent is outpacing. But if I have to do it, I have to do it. But assuming that I do settle there, what's going to happen is I'll be on those coordinated 9s for rolls, and that will give me roads leading to that 9-12 with the brick port. And you can see I do have a ton of brick, so that is going to allow me to fill in some of the missing spaces that I have with resourcing. I'm also going to have to get to a city as fast as I can to be able to compete with the already strong production of my opponent who got that early city. So it is slow going here. I do finally get that settle spot. The one thing that is giving me a shred of hope as well is that my opponent is not buying development cards right now. So they have strong development card potential, but if they don't get ahead with that and I can get some blocks in, I get a lucky 7 there and I can buy some more knights, I might be able to slow them down just enough to progress and get ahead with that largest army so that I can hold that down and make it really hard for them to end up catching up with me. Looking at my opponent's side, they are building over to that wheat port, and with the 6 sitting up, the 4, the 11, and all of the production they're going to have with wheat, that's going to be pretty scary when they end up settling there. That is going to make 6 an obvious block, but then they also have the 8 and 5 open. This is going to be like trying to cover up a leak with your fingers. It is really just very strong production from the opponent here, but maybe a lucky development card, road building, a year of plenty, a monopoly can change the game and help me to catch up and go settle on some of those higher production spots. You can see here my opponent also is blocking my 6 and my 8, and that is one other weakness of my board setup, is that I have a single point of failure on that wheat spot. So it's going to be really easy for my opponent to continue to slow down my production of development cards. All they have to do is keep that knight on the 8, and you can see there that was just blocked. So I buy another knight. I can still use my brick port to my advantage and be able to use the free cards that I get anytime that a 4, a 9, or a 5 rolls, but that is not going to be as good as having such a strong wheat production that the opponent has. And so you can see they're already catching up. Now they have purchased 3 development cards. I have a lead with army, but not a strong lead. We're both tied with 4 roads here. We both have good road building materials. My opponent has a little bit of an advantage with wood. I have an advantage with brick. It is still a toss-up here. You can see we both have 2 cities. My opponent has 3 settlements. I have 2, but I'm about to have my 3rd. So it seems like it could be anybody's game, but then the opponent uses a road building out of nowhere and they are able to settle. That is devastating. On all accounts, there is no way for me to come back now. They have control of the road. They have blocked my settle spot, and I'm not able to play through with that road. So in one play, I am absolutely roasted. And sometimes that's the game of Catan. That's why I think that it's so interesting with the variations there, because that road building pull is the difference maker for my opponent. It really gave them an extreme advantage. And you can see I bought 6 development cards, but every single one of them are knights. So that's helpful. Obviously, getting largest army is not a bad thing, but one of those special cards would have really helped me to have an advantage and possibly win this game. And my opponent has 2 down development cards, puts down the city, and that is the win. They had 2 victory points underneath there, and this in one play ended up from a competitive game to a landslide loss. So when I have losses like this, I try to think, like, what could I have done differently? We know from the placement that the 5-6-9 was always going to go. What I didn't like was that I didn't protect against that 5-10-8. It was just too overpowered to let the opponent have those 2 strong ore spots. So what could I have paired it with that would have protected against that situation? I still think that doubling down on the 8-5-10 would have been an issue. But in reviewing this board, I think that one of the alternatives that I didn't consider was the 11-3-6 in the middle of the board. That would have given me access to that other strong wheat on the other side, and it would have given me the strongest ore wheat sheep, and I would have had a path to connect those roads in the end that would have been pretty protected. So it's always interesting to play what could have been, but the outcome is the outcome. I am at a 60% win rate with 5 games to go, which means I need to be perfect from here on out in order to win the challenge. I'm up for it. I will do my best, and I will show you guys how the rest of the challenge turned out in the coming videos. Let me know in the comments which placement you would have ended up taking and if you think that there would have been a way to win this game. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.